It's finally time to talk about Kenny Pickett, and I wish I could say that this is a breakdown of the good, the bad, and the ugly so far this preseason, but quite frankly, there hasn't been a whole lot of bad to speak of, and there definitely hasn't been any ugly either, so I guess that just leaves the good. Let's get to it. First things first, I don't want to hear anyone say that Pickett's production so far this preseason doesn't count or is somehow lesser because his average depth of target is an extremely short 5.4 yards. It's very easy to label someone a dink and dunk artist, but I don't really think that that's fair to Pickett right now. You can only execute the plays that are called, after all, and quite frankly, in the first week of the preseason, the Steelers staff definitely treated him with kid gloves. There were a lot of RPOs, there were stick concepts and slants and little bootlegs or sprint outs where he's just working the flats, and even though his only true target down the field was still a great throw, his receiver just couldn't make the back shoulder adjustment to it, so it went down as an incompletion anyway. I do acknowledge that there definitely were not a lot of attempts at quote-unquote low percentage balls in that week, and yet the fact that the Steelers offense was so conservative, again in a rookie's first ever game, that doesn't really bother me that much. I kind of expected them to be conservative. Pickett just executed the offense, and to his credit, he did it well. The ball got moved, the passing game was mostly efficient, and what do you know, he did lead 2 scoring drives in the second half, including the game-winning drive itself. Did he make any crazy, stupid, ridiculous throws that only an alien can do, like Trevor Lawrence did against the Steelers the very next week? Well, no. But then again, I don't expect him to do that either because he doesn't have Trevor Lawrence's arm. What I expect Kenny Pickett to do is be accurate, be efficient, be hard to sack because of his mobility, and above all, I expect him to get the ball out quickly, and all of those qualities are exactly what we got. What I did not expect, however, was for Pickett to already be so in tune with this Steelers receiving core in terms of throwing side adjusts against certain coverages, and of course for him to be so poised in the face of pressure in just his first couple of games. He does not look panicked like many rookies do in their first live game action, and I want to demonstrate just how important that decisiveness and confidence can be by looking at his 2-minute drill to end the first half against Jacksonville. There were technically only 5 throws in that drive to march all the way down the field in 40 seconds and put up a touchdown, but those 5 throws showed me mostly all I needed to see when it comes to how ready Kenny Pickett is to play. Before I break down everything that he did though, I want to thank Harry's for making today's show possible. Harry's has been around for a long time now, so I'm sure you've heard of them before, but you might never have actually tried them before. They make award-winning 5-blade razors with their own century-old factory in Germany. Every razor has a flex hinge on the head to help contour to your face. There's also a lubricating strip and a really nice weighted ergonomic handle. Plus, new packs of cartridges for each razor are less than half the cost of what Gillette Pro Glide cartridges cost. Normally, a starter kit for Harry's would cost $13, but if you want to try it out for yourself, you can knock $10 off your price to get down to just $3 for the starter kit, which of course comes with the handle, the cartridge, some Harry's shave gel with aloe, and a travel cover for the cartridge itself. Again, all of that just for $3 with a money-back guarantee if you don't even like it, all at my link down in the description below. So if you've seen the ads but you've never actually tried Harry's for yourself to see if they're for you, now is probably the best time to do that. Thank you again to Harry's for sponsoring today's show, and with that, let's get back to it. Alright, let's break down this drive play by play. This is 1st and 10 from the Steelers' own 32-yard line to start off the drive, with roughly a minute left in the half. The Jaguars are presenting 2 high safeties here, so considering the down, distance, and situation, it's probably either quarters coverage or something like Tampa 2, but Pickett will be reading these safeties to see if there's any rotation down into a cover 3 look. Now, the play that the Steelers are running here is colloquially known as stick dragon. There's a stick side with 2 stick routes and a clear out down the boundary, and there's a dragon side. And for those that don't know, dragon is a West Coast term for a route combination of a slant and flat route together, so this concept is just called stick dragon. Typically, when you have this kind of call, there's a man side and a zone side in terms of how the quarterback reads it. Meaning if you see something like spot drop cover 2 zone, you're going to work the stick routes that settle in between those zones, but if you get a straight up man coverage look, or even a match zone coverage look like quarters that ends up playing like man coverage anyway, then you work the dragon side of the concept because this slant flat combo is much better at breaking man coverage. In this play's case, the Jags are in a variation of match quarters, so Pickett knows that he's got to work this dragon concept. The read is relatively simple here. You work your eyes from the safety to make sure that he's not flying downhill to be a hook zone player in a rotation to cover 3, and then if there is no rotation, you work to this linebacker after that to see if he's staying in this hook zone or if he's hauling ass out to the flat to match this running back. And if that backer is matching to the flat, that is then going to open up this window to be wide open for the slant to cut in behind him. On the end zone angle, you can even see Pickett's eyes work from the safety to the linebacker as he's reading this progression, and then he just leads Diontae Johnson into the void in coverage. It was an easy pitch and catch on a perfect read, and in one play it got the Steelers all the way past midfield with still more than 50 seconds to go. That brings us then to the next play, 1st and 10 from the 45. The Steelers run stick seam to the field, and Pickett wastes no time in just hitting Pat Freiermuth on the short stick route against Tampa 2 zone coverage. Again, when you're getting this kind of soft zone in this situation, you just want to throw that stick route and keep the ball moving, because that's another 10 yards and another first down, and now the Steelers are all the way down to the 35-yard line, still with 41 seconds left. That is a lot of time remaining, and after a quick spike to stop the clock, that's bringing up a 2nd and 10 where the Jags are a little bit nervous now. So they're going to get more aggressive to try to keep Pittsburgh out of the red zone here, so they dial up a 3-3 fire zone pressure, meaning 3 under, 3 deep, with both the star and the Mike linebacker bringing heat. The Steelers, meanwhile, are in a 6-man pass protection called 2-jet, so theoretically they should have enough bodies to handle this pressure. And as far as route concepts go, the Steelers are running wide choice out of a tight bunch set, and the primary read on the play, naturally, is going to be the choice route from the wide tight end, Pat Freiermuth. 8 times out of 10, the ball is going to Freiermuth here because his one job is to just read the leverage of the defenders and either break out on another stick route if he reads hook zone droppers sitting inside of him, or if the defender is turning their hips out towards him to match him, he'll just work back across their eye line to the middle of the field on a delayed seam route. And while Freiermuth is reading that coverage to determine which route he runs, Pickett is also reading it too. You can see Pickett's eyes locked on Freiermuth because he's waiting for him to break the space, and of course he too can see that the fire zone pressure is coming, as well as the fact that the other linebacker, Foye Oluokun, is fully opened up and running out to Freiermuth to match him. And again, with Oluokun's hips turned all the way outside, Pickett knows that if he can just hang in there in the pocket with a rusher barreling down on him, he can drop a dime behind Oluokun into that void over the middle where Freiermuth is breaking to. 24 yards and one big hit in the pocket later, Pickett now has the Steelers all the way down to the Jags' 11-yard line after taking only 37 seconds off the clock. All of that then brings us here to play number 4. A little bit of a caveat here. This play actually didn't count because of offsetting penalties, but I still wanted to include it anyway because I think it's a great example of Pickett's chemistry and trust that he's already built with this Steelers receiving core. Pittsburgh is in an empty set here, and they're running mirrored rail seam route combinations to either side of the field. With just one safety deep in the post in this cover 1 rat look on defense, the side that Pickett is going to work here is actually pretty easy to determine because he's just going to throw to whatever side the safety does not lean to, which in this case is going to be the weak side of the offensive formation that only has 2 receiving threats. What I do find great about this play is that, again, it shows that Kenny Pickett already has a ton of trust and chemistry with his guys, especially Diontae Johnson. Pickett knows that this is likely cover 1 rat, meaning man coverage across the board with one rat player in a low zone over the middle, and because he knows that it's cover 1, especially in the red zone, he also knows that the Jaguars' boundary corner on the weak side is going to have absolutely no help in any way. He is truly on an island. So as a result of being on that island, DB Technique 101 dictates that the corner will be coached to not lose inside on the release no matter what. He is going to be completely walling any release inside and forcing Johnson to work an outside release instead so that the corner can use the sideline to his advantage. And that makes it somewhat difficult to run a seam route that eventually has to end up stemming inside into the seam area anyway. If Pickett were a quarterback that did not have chemistry or trust with his guys, it would be easy for him to just write off Johnson completely just based on this pre-snap look and just try to thread the needle to Pickens instead on his own inside seam route, which may or may not get Pickens completely obliterated by the safety. But for Pickett, who somehow does have chemistry already with Diontae Johnson, he trusts Johnson to still get to that spot on time, even against a corner that is dead set on not letting him inside. The safest thing that Pickett can do, both in terms of taking care of the ball and in terms of protecting his receivers from a bone-shattering hit from the safety, is to slightly drift in the pocket just to get that post safety to lean away from Johnson a little bit, which he does, and then he can grip it and rip it to the seam and kind of throw it high into the back of the end zone. But again, that requires trust that Diontae is going to win. It requires knowing that he's not going to play any games with the corner, and instead he's going to speed release outside, conceding the inside to that DB, and then he can stack the corner vertically to try to get him back into panic mode, and then he can stem the route back over the top and inside to the exact spot he needs to be. This was a great ball by Pickett to still leave it high where Johnson could adjust to it. But again, the thing that I love most about it was that he had faith in Johnson to even get to that spot in the first place, despite the pre-snap coverage look being about as unfavorable as it could possibly get. To me, that shows confidence and poise well beyond his years, and I think he would have no problem hitting the ground running with this very talented group of receivers. Now, as I said before, this touchdown unfortunately did not count because of offsetting penalties by the edge rusher and the left tackle, so the Steelers had to replay the down. But in my opinion, that just proved to be an opportunity for Pickett to then throw 2 touchdown passes on 2 consecutive plays. The Steelers used a short return motion here from George Pickens to once again try to confirm man coverage before the ball is snapped, which did work, and the Jags did seemingly present cover 1 again here for the second play in a row. And with cover 1 trying to match up with his mesh concept from the Steelers offense here, this is a very unfavorable look for Jacksonville, and Pickett knows that his best matchup on the field, or rather his safest matchup on the field, is likely going to be this running back releasing to the flat and forcing the linebacker to fight through a whole bunch of traffic just to keep up. He takes a quick 3-step drop, and right on that 3rd step, wastes no time getting the ball out in rhythm in order to set up the back for a catch and run to the pylon, which does score. The pre-snap read was good, the post-snap read was fast, and the throw was accurate. To me, that's all anyone could ever hope for in this situation out of a rookie quarterback. Just 2 plays, 2 great reads, and 2 touchdowns. Like I said, very few of Pickett's throws in the last couple of games could ever be considered flashy or even freakish like some of the other young quarterbacks in the league. But even though he doesn't have that level of physical talent, he is still very decisive, he's efficient, he's poised under pressure, and maybe, most importantly of all, he already clearly has the trust of his receivers. I truly do not know what the future holds for Kenny Pickett, and I don't know how good he's going to be or if he's going to make the Steelers contenders again, let alone this year. But what I do know is that just based on what we've seen him do so far this preseason, I don't think he's going to be on the bench for long. He will start this season. I think he's shown way too much promise to not eventually start at some point. The only question, obviously, we have is how many weeks is it going to take for him to, at long last, get that chance? We don't know the answer to that now, so I guess we'll find out eventually. Thank you for watching today's show, and once again, thank you to Harry's for sponsoring it. If you guys like this, hit like and subscribe. That really does help out the channel, and hope to see you guys back here next week for the next show. So, until then, later.